Hello, it's me Harley, back at it again for another video, and today I will be talking about why I've only just started getting into Disney. Now then, for most people, Disney is a childhood memory. Childhood come back to life in beautiful cartoons and Disney World and Disneyland, and I don't know the difference between them, and I don't know really which one's which, but you get what I mean. It's basically nostalgic for a lot of people. When a lot of people think of Disney, they think of their childhood. I don't. And there is a very good reason why I don't associate Disney with my childhood, and that's because I basically didn't have any experience with the franchises until the last couple of years, maybe? Like, when I say I didn't have any real experience with Disney shows and TV and stuff, and films, I'm not saying I didn't watch anything Disney, because I did. But the only reason why I watched that stuff it's because I didn't know it was Disney. Now, I'm talking about things which aren't necessarily easily noticeable as being associated with the Disney stuff from an outside person's perspective. I'm talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm talking about 101/102 Dalmatians. I'm talking about that kind of thing. Now then, why didn't I watch Disney? Why didn't I watch the TV shows that so many people feel so happy about when they think about them? That's really all down to my dad. Before I begin, I should tell you something about my dad. He's a chartered accountant, which means that although he is more than willing to spend money and not worry about the costs if somebody is in a medical emergency. Like, I've had to give up on the NHS recently because they've not been helping me with my illness. I've had to turn to a private doctor. He won't worry about spending money on that kind of thing because he sees that as a necessary expenditure. He sees that as important. He also sees big events, like if I really want to go and see somebody in concert, if it's for like my birthday and things, he'll get me those tickets because he knows that they are a long-term thing in my life and that I would really appreciate going and seeing them. What he doesn't class as important expenditure is tact. So that could be anything from, say, an oil diffuser. Say you fancy aromatherapy. He's like, you don't need an oil diffuser in your life, so it's a waste of money. He also sees things as stuff like Netflix as a waste of money and all that kind of thing. A lot of stuff that people would, at least here in England or in richer countries, would think, yeah, no, it's not a problem to buy. It's not like I've gone out and I don't know. It's not like I've gone out and bought my 500th dress in the same colour and same pattern. Like, that would be, to most people, not necessary. But to my dad, basically anything that you may go, oh, I quite like that and I think that would look nice in my room, or oh, I quite like that and it could be quite useful, is unnecessary expenditure. For instance, one thing that my mum's been wanting for ages is a new set of crockery for the kitchen, just to use in everyday life. Because a lot of our plates are chipped and really need throwing out because they've got big cracks going through the middle. And it's kind of dangerous to actually use them now because they could break as you're carrying it through, and then, yeah, I don't particularly want half a plate sticking out my hand. I don't know about you. But my dad sees that as unnecessary expenditure because the plates that we have still technically can be used, even though they're actually a bit of a danger now. What does this have to do with Disney, you might ask? My dad, when I was growing up, didn't particularly like the whole Disney thing. he saw it as expensive. And it is. Nobody can argue the fact that Disney stuff is expensive. Whether that be going to see a film or whether that be going out and buying some merchandise or something, Disney stuff is expensive and nobody can argue that. My dad has a perfectly legitimate point there. Now this is where things go kind of wrong. He didn't want to spend money on all the Disney princesses and things that most kids my age liked. To be fair, I prefer Jack Sparrow any day over any Disney princess. I was more interested in Pirates of the Caribbean than princesses. But he didn't want to pay for this expensive Disney princess stuff. So what did he decide to tell his 3-year-old daughter to stop her buying Disney stuff? Now then, I can remember this very clearly because in Leicester, the Disney shop has moved to another space now, but in Leicester, when I was an infant and a young kid, there was a really big Disney shop with a really beautiful windows full of like figurines and dresses and everything Disney, and to me it looked magical, like it does to any other normal child. And I remember asking my dad, because we were out shopping together, so it must have been for my mum's birthday or Christmas, because I think it was probably birthday because I can remember it being quite warm outside. I don't have much memory of it, but I remember I was certainly not in a big heavy winter coat, so I'm going to say that I was out shopping for my mum's birthday presents with my dad, and I wanted to go into the Disney store. He didn't want to go in. He knew that by going into the Disney store, it would possibly mean inspiring me to want to spend some money on toys. I can remember very clearly him turning to me, facing me, and going, "You don't want to associate with Disney." And I can't tell you exactly what he said next, but it was something along these lines. He said, "You don't want to associate with Disney because if you watch anything Disney, if you play with anything Disney, if you even watch the Disney Channel, you will catch stupid. And when you catch stupid, that means you're not going to be able to get a job when you're older, which means you'll never be able to move out and never be able to have a life of your own, and it's going to be terrible for you." Well, that scared 3-year-old me out of my pants. I wanted to be successful. At the time, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I wanted to be a successful person in marine biology. I didn't want to catch stupid like my dad had told me, and for the rest of my childhood feared Disney. My mum didn't know about this until I was about 14. My mum didn't know why her child had an irrational fear of everything fun. I mean, even if I'd wanted to watch the Disney Channel, I wouldn't have been able to, because my dad saw paying for extra TV channels, as I said earlier on with like Netflix kind of stuff, as an unnecessary expenditure. So even if I'd wanted to watch Disney Channel, I wouldn't have been able to because my TV wouldn't physically have it. So I would have only been able to really watch the Disney films when they came out in cinema or on DVD or at the time video. And when I was, I think 7, might be 8, my mum decided she was going to try and conquer my fear of Disney with me by taking the underground trains things, I don't know what it's called, it's Euro something or other. It's the underground train that goes under the sea between England and France under the British Channel, and she decided to take me to Disneyland Paris with my nana, and I spent the majority of my time hiding. Like, I was terrified. If any of the Disney characters came anywhere near me for photographs and stuff, I hid. Yes, I went on a few of the rides and stuff. And well, I think they were rides. I don't really have much memory of it. All I can remember is Tigger strangling my nana. It wasn't Tigger strangling my nana. My nana was just a very small, weak old lady, and Tigger gave her a hug. And the photograph my mum took to show that I shouldn't be scared of Tigger made it look like Tigger was strangling my nana, with a light bulb coming out of his head. There wasn't a light bulb coming out of his head. There was a light bulb in the background or in the restaurant we were in. But to me, it looked like Tigger was strangling my nana and he had a bright red light bulb coming out of his head. That was a disturbing photo in my mind. One day I might actually be able to find it and show it to you guys, because I know we have it somewhere, but it's a matter of going through all of the photos, basically from the noughties that I have stashed away in either the attic or my dad's train room. Yes, my dad has a train room. He finds expenditure on stuff like, I don't know, my anime figurines and stuff as unnecessary, but then he has a model railway with literally hundreds of model trains and he doesn't class that as unnecessary. But I don't have many memories of Disneyland Paris. All I really remember of being in Disneyland Paris is desperately wanting to go and see the Eiffel Tower. I wasn't interested in the Disney Castle or the... I swear there were rides, but I might be mistaken because I can't actually remember going on any rides. I think I've just seen like rides and stuff in like commercials. I can't actually remember them. I can remember going in the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car with my mum and my nana and having a photo in the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car. I think I must have been like 7. Yeah, it must have been. But I have very little memories of it because, as I said, I was terrified. I spent my entire like weekend there hiding. The thing I remember most about the holiday, the only thing I can really remember is the absolutely terrible travelling it took to get there. Like, we went there by coach and things, and I remember standing in a dark street in the cold waiting for this coach to come and pick us up, and it was just really sketchy and it taking forever because this was a pretty bad company we went with. At least when it comes to getting there and back. I don't know if it's better now or if it's got worse or even if it's still around, but whatever company we went with, the travelling was a nightmare. So I remember getting to Disneyland Paris more than Disneyland Paris itself. And I've still never seen the Eiffel Tower. That's still on my bucket list. I have now been to France 4 times and I've never seen the Eiffel Tower, and that's getting to me now. I want to see it one day, but then at the same time I also want to go to that famous cemetery, you know, the one with Oscar Wilde buried in it and things like that, and I want to go around and just see all those graves. I also want to see the catacombs and obviously the Louvre. So yeah, I plan to go back to Paris one day, but will I go to Disneyland Paris? Probably not, because I don't think it will be that interesting for me now. I finally started watching some Disney films, like I've seen a couple of them just because I feel like I want to know what other people are talking about when they make references to these things. Like, I've watched Lion King and I've watched a handful of the Disney princesses and stuff. And that's about it. That's about all I've done when it comes to seeing things Disney. I've never seen a Disney TV show because I simply didn't have them. So when people talk about like, oh, did you used to watch, I don't know, Wizards of Waverly Place? I think that's a Disney show. I'm like, nah, I didn't have that. I had CBBC and ITV and that was it. And I'm not complaining about that. That was more than enough for me. There I was happily watching TV about men in dustbins, like I mentioned in the last video. Yeah, if you want to see me talking about how I used to love watching videos about weird dudes in dustbins, then you can watch that video. But on that note, I have a lot of catching up to do. And the person who inspired me to actually start watching Disney films in the first place was the comedian Jack Whitehall after he expressed his great love for The Lion King. So, yeah. I don't know what to watch next, if I'm honest. I don't even know the names of Disney films and stuff. Like, unless they're massive, I don't know anything. And by massive, I'm talking about like Frozen, Lion King, that kind of massive. I can't give any examples of like lesser known ones. Oh! I remember a Disney film I watched that I didn't realise was Disney. Hercules! I loved Hercules! But then I loved Greek mythology, so anything with Greek mythology in I'd have loved. Yeah. So, as a child, I was into Greek mythology but not Disney. So if you want to know what I've watched as Disney films when I was little, I basically watched Pirates of the Caribbean, I watched 101 Dalmatians / 102, and I watched Hercules. That's it. That's basically all the Disney I ever watched as a child. So if you could help me out, give me a couple of suggestions of some of your favourite Disney films, I'd be more than happy. And I'll say toodle pipple beans.